So there's a show that I wanted to rewatch. In fact, it's my third favorite TV show of all time as of this recording, and I wanted to talk about it again with all of you. So back by popular demand, Breaking Bad episode review videos, Breaking Bad Season 1. Before I get into that though, pretty important, if you aren't caught up to the point where I am, every watch you're watching Breaking Bad, or you're just not entirely sure, then you definitely need to take the initiative and pay attention to the episode's title, which of course I'll mention, as well as put in the description. If that's the case, you find out you're not caught up, it would be my recommendation that you don't watch this video any further to avoid any potential spoilers. I believe this is my 8th time watching Breaking Bad. It might be my 9th or 10th time. I can't keep track of everything, but this will be Breaking Bad Season 1, Episode 1, the pilot episode. And this will be my review, reaction, recap after just finishing watching the episode. We start off with Walt's pants that are flying through the air. Of course, we learn why that's the case later on, as Walt is driving the RV in his underwear with Jesse Pinkman passed out in the passenger seat. Walt drives the RV off the road and realizes that his pants are gone because he had them hanging outside the RV with his shirt. His dress shirt. Grabs the gun from one of the dead guys in the back, which we later learn that it's only one dead guy, in addition to his wallet and a video camera out of the glove box. He hears sirens. He says his name and address to the camera. This is not an admission of guilt. I'm speaking to my family now. Talks only about having them in his heart with the things that he's done. Walt goes to the road and points the gun towards the sirens that are approaching, and then we get 3 weeks earlier. So we learn why all these crazy things have happened to this guy in his underwear. Walter White is lying in bed awake with Skyler White, his wife, who's pregnant with a soon-to-be daughter, and Walt has a slight cough. It's Walt's 50th birthday. Skyler has made Walt bacon on eggs cut up to show the number 50. Walter Jr., who sometimes goes by the name of Flynn, gets up. He's upset that there's no hot water. And Skyler says, well, wake up earlier. And then Walter Jr. says, buy a new hot water heater. Walt to school with Walter Jr., as Walt is the chemistry teacher at the school, and Walter Jr. attends the school. Walt also has a part-time job at the car wash. Bogdan is the owner of the car wash, and right now he's short-handed. I guess I really didn't touch upon the fact that Walt was irritated with some student in school that wasn't at the right spot and kind of disrupted the class. But anyway, Bogdan is short-handed and needs Walt to help scrub down cars. And it turns out the same student and most likely his girlfriend are the ones getting their car cleaned at the car wash, and they're laughing at Walt. So Walt was supposed to leave a long time ago, but he's stuck here at the car wash, and finally Walt gets home really late. Surprise birthday party for Walt, his 50th birthday. Carmen, the principal, is there, although we don't get a lot of focus on her. Marie is there as well, who's Skyler's sister. And then we have Marie's husband, Hank, who is also there, showing off his gun, as he's a DEA agent. Drug Enforcement Agency, for those of you that don't know what DEA means. Toast to his brother-in-law, says Hank, or says, and then Walt, he says that Walt has a brain the size of Wisconsin. Hey, I'm from Wisconsin. I think our state's bigger than Walt's brain. And Hank's partner, Steve Gomez, is also there. So we get introduced to all these characters that we're going to come to know and love early on in this series. Although there are a few that we get saved for Season 2. Walt sees a bust that Hank makes on the news. And Hank says it's easy money till we catch you. And he actually offers, Walt seems really intrigued by this whole thing. And he's like, well, if you ever want to go on a ride along, just let me know. Bedtime, and Skyler starts to attempt to give Walt a hand job. But apparently, little Walt is a little bit asleep right now. And finally, little Walt wakes up a little bit, and Skylar's like, "Oh yeah, that's it." And yeah, that's probably the weirdest hand job I've ever seen, but we don't actually see it. So the next day, Walt is back at the car wash, and he coughs, kind of holds his chest a little bit, and then he falls down at the car wash. And Walt wakes up in an ambulance and wants the ambulance guy, the paramedic in the back, to drop him off at the corner. He's like, I'm fine. Just drop me off. It's like, no, that's not how things work. He's being taken to the hospital, and he doesn't have the best insurance, so that's why he doesn't want to go to the hospital. And then Walter White finds out that he has inoperable lung cancer, and the best case scenario for Walt is that with chemo, he'll live a couple years. So he just got a death sentence by the doctor, but all he can think about is the mustard that's on the collar of the doctor's shirt. Actually, it was on the collar or something. It was around the shirt area somewhere. I don't remember exactly where it was. Walt tells Skylar his day was fine, doesn't say anything about his cancer diagnosis. He doesn't want to tell her, he doesn't want her to worry. And then Walt, back at the car wash, yet again, he spends more time at the car wash than he does as a chemistry teacher. He says, "Fuck you" to Bogdan, "fuck your eyebrows," knocks a bunch of stuff down, and leaves. So Walt essentially quits the job at the car wash that's owned and operated by Bogdan, who's kind of a pain in the ass. That will come into play later on in this series for those of you that are unaware of Breaking Bad. If you haven't watched Breaking Bad yet, wow. So Walt calls Hank and wants to go on that ride-along. So Walt is on the ride-along. Quick, they're moving quick here with Hank and his partner, Steve Gomez. And we see that a character named Emilio is arrested. And then Jesse Pinkman is busy with a lady next door. And we actually see a pair of tits and climbs out of the window. And he's actually one of Walt's former students and gets away in his car. So Walt sees this and actually he sees Walt. He recognizes him. And then later on, Walt goes to Jesse's place. He found him because he's still in the filing system at the school, even though Jesse hasn't been at school for years, I would say, if not 5 to 10 years, somewhere in that. And Walt thinks him and Jesse should partner up. Walt says he partners with him or he'll turn him in. So he basically blackmails him into working with him. He knows the chemistry, and Jesse knows how to move the product. So Skylar's working on a novel while she's pregnant. Marie asks, "What's up with Walt lately?" She can sense that Walt's just not being himself lately. And then Walt takes a shitload of supplies out of the chemistry lab. Walt gives Jesse a quick lesson about cooking out of a flask. No more chili pea, even though that's Jesse's signature. We're going to make the best meth possible. Jesse says, "We're not cooking at my house. I don't shit where I eat." Walt pulls out all the money that he has in his bank account to have Jesse get an RV so they can cook in it, because that's like a traveling lab that they can utilize. And Jesse's actually worried that Walt is he's going crazy. I mean, the straight-laced chemistry teacher all of a sudden wants to cook methylamine with him. Walter Jr. is trying on new pants, but is having a hard time getting them up as he's got a disability where he walks around with crutches. Cerebral palsy, I'm not exactly sure if that's actually what he has, and I believe the actor, RJ Mitty, he does have that in real life as well, although it's not to the degree that they show it on Breaking Bad. It's not as bad, but he still has it. And some teens in the store that they're at are kind of making fun of Walter Jr. Like, "I can put my big boy pants on," or something like that. And then we see Walt just kind of leave, and he goes out the back. And then Walter White comes back in the store, knocks down the teen that was mainly the one making fun of Walter Jr. The other kids were just laughing along with him. And then when he gets back up, he's like, "Take your best shot. Take your best shot." And all crazy. And they don't do anything to him. The teens actually leave without harming Walt at all. while Skyler and Walter Jr. just look in awe like, what the fuck just happened? And then we see Walt get in his underwear as he doesn't want to smell like a meth lab in his good clothes. That's why he doesn't have his pants on in the beginning of the episode, because we've kind of pretty much caught up to the current time just about. Jesse pretty much messes around while Walt is cooking this meth. He spins around in his chair, he does things wrong, and Walt basically has to babysit him the whole time. And then once it's all done, Jesse says that Walt cooks some pure glass. Walt's a goddamn artist. And then Jesse takes a sample to Crazy 8, who has a Rottweiler. And Emilio actually made bail already, as Jesse was like, you tell Emilio this. And Crazy 8 wonders where Jesse got the sample he has. So Crazy 8 and Emilio go take Jesse back to the cook site, and Walt tells Crazy 8 he'll teach him his recipe as he has his gun pointed at Walt, and Emilio has a gun pointed at Jesse, and Emilio's kind of roughing Jesse up a lot as he's on the ground. So Emilio, his dumbass, comes into the RV smoking, and Walt tells him to put that cigarette out. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, you moron? And so he flicks the cigarette outside, and we can see it's still, like, lit to a degree. And Walt actually makes a chemical that explodes, and then he runs out of the RV and stands in the way so they can't get out. And they actually shoot the door of the RV trying to get out of it. And then they must pass out or die, because they go down. They stop trying to get out. And then there's a fire near the RV because of Emilio's cigarette. So Walt puts a mask on Jesse as he's knocked out from getting beat up by Emilio, and they drive away. And then we're back to what we left off with Walt standing in the middle of the road, pointing a gun from earlier. And Walt actually tries to kill himself, but the gun doesn't go off. And then it's actually just fire trucks, and they pass Walt. Jesse wakes up with a very black left eye, and Walt tells Jesse what he did to Crazy 8, although I put Crazy 7 by mistake, but Crazy 8 and Emilio, and then Walt pukes. And then Walt gets home, he puts money in the dryer, and Skyler tells Walt she doesn't like it when he doesn't talk to her. And then Walt turns to, he kisses Skyler a few times and then turns her to the side and starts to have sex with her. As, keep in mind, Skyler is pregnant. I don't remember how long she is, but she's close. And that's what ends this pilot episode of Breaking Bad. So this was fun to watch. I don't think this is the best series premiere of all time, but it's really solid. It makes you think what's going to happen next in this show. As far as a score of this episode of Breaking Bad, I think it's a solid 8.5 out of 10, and maybe some of you would score it 10 out of 10 or 9 out of 10. And then my characters of the episode, well, Walt's for the males, obviously, he's awesome. And then Skyler for the females. The females in this episode don't really get a lot of attention. Skyler and Marie are really the only two. And then the chick that's in the window with her tits out, that was always nice. I don't remember her name at all, but that's like the only pair of tits in Breaking Bad, if I recall. Maybe I'm wrong. No, they go to the strip club in season 2. So, and that actually takes place in season 1. And they give us a flashback episode in season 2. But anyway, you've heard what I have to say about this episode of Breaking Bad. Now it's your turn. If you're a fan of Breaking Bad, Better Call Saul, El Camino, a Breaking Bad movie, and want to help me out with the YouTube algorithm, please make sure that you Hulk smash that like button. Share the video with a friend. Put this video on any one of your social media platforms. Don't forget to sound off in the comment section about what your thoughts are. If you're a Breaking Bad fan, I want to hear all your thoughts on this pilot episode of Breaking Bad. Join me on the journey of all these review videos of Breaking Bad. Let me know what your score of this pilot episode is and whom, if you had to choose, it's pretty obvious, but if you have to choose, who are your male and female characters of the episode, or if you just want to do one standout character, which I might do at least for the rest of this season, go ahead and do that. And then last but certainly not least, don't forget to hit that sub button. You're watching the video anyway. Subscribe to the channel, join the team, join me on this journey, show your support, and be a part of something special. And JDev will return. And remember, I'm in the Empire business.